What's up? This is all from my phone, and guys, here we go. Here are the differences. This is the Celica GTS, and this is the Corolla. If you can see on here, there is a cap on this side with 4 bolts that matches where my shift cable goes to for my shift mechanism and the shift shaft on this transmission. So there's a couple things here. They all have the same bolts, the same bolt holes and everything. So I pretty much just have to take this mechanism off, take out the shift shaft, pretty much how I took it out over here. You're going to take those 4 bolts out, and this 24, pop it out, and it should slide out. You might need some sort of fandangling. And then I have to plug this hole on this side over here. I bought a plug for it, and I'll show you once I get to that point. But for now, I'm just going to take everything off, and I'm probably going to use my, you see how my mount is a little better shape. I'll probably switch those over. You know, little stuff that on my transmission is probably better off than the one that's on here. So another thing you have to change out, guys, that I saw, the speed sensor. There's a speed sensor that goes on here. I gotta change that out. Mine is just right on top of the transmission. I just gotta swap them over. And then, guys, there's honestly something for the differential. I don't know what it is, but this is my old one. See, I already took it out. But the Celica has this, and I don't know if it has to do anything with the limited slip differential. Like, I don't know if it is the limited slip differential because it has this. I'm not 100% sure. If anybody could tell me, I'd be really appreciate it. But I'm just gonna take the cap off of mine and cap it off because I don't need the sensor for now, and I'll keep it just in case I can integrate it with mine. But so yeah, other than that, guys, it's pretty. I mean, it's the same exact transmission. The Celica one was in pretty good shape. You know, it's old, so it's got some, you know, dirt and grime and stuff like that on it, but it's in pretty decent shape. I was actually pretty surprised. So I'm gonna get everything swapped over, and then if I run into any snags, I'll let you know. So pretty much what I'm gonna start off doing is taking off all this bracketry and all this stuff for the shifter, and then go from there. Alright guys, so I forgot to say something. These are probably 14mm bolts that are on top of here. These are 14mm bolts. This is 14mm bolts, so you're probably going to be working mostly with 14mm bolts. Like you see, this is 12, 13, 14, let's see, 14mm bolts. Just wanted to add that in there. Alright guys, so I got all the shift mechanism and all that stuff out. I got the shifter shaft out of the Celica trans. On mine, I kind of had to do a hack job, guys. This end is supposed to come off and be like pressed off in order for the shaft to slide out the front side. So when you have all this out on the other one, the shaft is supposed to come out this way, and then you're supposed to get everything off the front of this so that the shaft can come out the front. But this is an older car. It's like rusted together. I don't have time to be heating stuff up and trying to bash it out, so I just took a sawzall to it. And honestly, I know that's like super hack, but it got the job done. I wasn't gonna use the Celica transmission and like I wasn't gonna need the Celica pieces again, because I'm probably gonna just get another Celica trans to put into the Celica. So I wasn't too worried about hacking it up. It is what it is, man. Got the job done. Got the shaft in there. It's switching gears. See? It's working good. So for your understanding, this is the Celica trans, and this is the piece off the Corolla trans. You see how there's like a hole in the front that you gotta cover up? On the Corolla, it's got the part where the shifter goes on here. But as you can show, there's no hole there. So the Celica trans does work on the Corolla, but the Corolla trans does not work on the Celica unless you drill a hole out. it ain't about that life. You could do it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can modify it to work, but yeah, I'm not going through all that, man. I need to get this done ASAP. Another thing, not sure what size the sensor is here. I cut off the wire because I need to put the socket over it. I don't have any big wrenches that can fit on that right here. You know, at work I have them, but not here. So I do have sockets though. I have plenty of big sockets, so hoping to just get one of my sockets out and it'll fit, and we'll call it a day. You know, that's good hoping. There it is. 30 should do. What size is this? 32. Yeah, 30 should be good. Probably a little too big. And this 27 is too big, not too small. I mean, yeah. So 30 is gonna do it. It'll work just to get it out of there. But yeah, so I gotta get that sensor off, replace the one from my car onto here, and we'll be good to go. Let me do that real quick. Alright guys, so it ended up being 27 mil. It's a 27 millimeter bolt for this sensor. On the Celica trans, when you get it, the reason that it didn't feel like it was a 27 at first is because the wires coming out of that sensor are so tight on there that it makes it hard for the socket to go in. But once you actually put some oomph onto the sensor, it goes in. When you take out the sensor, be very careful. There is a gasket on there. Don't forget to put that gasket back on. But yeah. So yeah, it's a 27 mil. Sorry, I'm all over the place. But it is a 27. Got my big impact on it. Some more juice. There you go. And bam! It's on there. Alright guys, so I got pretty much everything transferred over. Now, to plug this up, that's my synchro mesh here. It's Valvoline. Not too sure how good that is, but that's what it is. I wanted to buy a cheap branded gear oil just for now to run the transmission a couple of miles, and then I'll empty it out and put some good stuff on there. But anyways, to plug that up guys, I got this expansion plug. A lot of people say that these aren't good because they leak, but for my application, honestly guys, this isn't building any pressure. This isn't on like the bottom side of the transmission, so it doesn't have any sort of gravity assist to leak. So I just bought this, and you need a 1-inch plug to plug that hole up on the transmission. So I'm just gonna pretty much put this in the hole and then twist on that so it expands in there, and it should be good to go. But we'll see what happens here. Alright guys, so it doesn't work. This plug does not work. Do not get one of these type of extension plugs, okay? You need a 1x1x1. It's like a freeze plug. You pretty much put boop, and it goes in there, okay? So it's got to be a 1x1x1. So I got to go to the store, but everything else is on, man. Look at that. The reversed. Oh man, I think the lighting sucks. Let me see if I can bring this in a little closer. Sorry about the camera motion, guys. But there you go. Everything's assembled. It works fine. I've shifted it into reverse. I've shifted it up and down. This should work, guys. Kind of excited. I was worried it wasn't going to work. It does. So I just got to transfer over some things, and just small stuff like the harness brackets and stuff like that for my Corolla, like that one, And then I'm going to take this mount from mine, because the one that came off of this one is kind of beat up. See it in the corner right here? Right there. It's kind of rusty. I mean, mine's not the greatest, but it's better than that one. So I'm going to transfer that over. Yeah, so I got to go to the auto parts store and get the right one. Alright guys, so it's been a couple of days since I've had the transmission on the Celica done. Not the Celica, but the Celica Trans is going into the XRS done. The only thing I was waiting on was the cap that goes on the other end where there's a hole. And I'll show you guys a little more once I get to the house and have this all set up. But a couple things. I was looking for it. Pretty much, it's an expansion plug that goes into that hole. An expansion plug is another name for an expansion plug is the freeze plug. You know, like stuff that goes on the side of the motor when I don't know if you guys know what a freeze plug is, but when they're doing casting on engines, they have these holes on the side of the motor, and the freeze plugs go into the side of the motor once the engine's done. So a freeze plug is what this calls for, according to Monkey Wrench Racing, to cover the hole. So freeze plug, expansion plug, whatever you want to call it, that's what needs to go in that hole. On their website, they say that the dimensions for the actual plug is 1 by 1 by 1 inch. So a 1-inch plug. Yeah, that's incorrect information. I'll show you when I get to the house. I have a 1-inch plug, and it's like throwing a hot dog in a hallway. It doesn't work, and that's not how freeze plugs are installed or expansion valves are installed. You have to beat them in the hole, and they have to be. It's a very fine measurement, so it has to be pretty much pressed into the hole or beat into the hole with a socket. That's how I'm doing it here, but yeah, there's tools for installing expansion plugs. You can go ahead and buy it if you want, but it's not necessary. So I purchased a 1-inch plug locally. I went to an auto parts store, and yeah, like I said, it's like a hot dog in a hallway. It's not correct. I believe the measurement for the hole without the sleeve is 1 1/8, but this is how I'm going to do this, guys. On the Celica GTS transmission, there is a sleeve that comes out of that hole where the shaft slips through. So there's a sleeve with a hole in it and a seal, a black seal, that pretty much seals the shaft when it goes through that hole. I'm going to use that sleeve and then cap it with a plug that's 1 1/16 size. 1 1/16 is the size of that hole, or the size of the expansion valve that you need to cover that hole so it's nice and tight. And this is what it looks like. Okay, 1 1/16. It's a Dorman freeze plug. I don't know if that's the part number right there, P14S. It's kind of like the size of a quarter. But yeah, you pretty much, this is what you need: 1 1/16 size freeze plug. And on this, like I told you, it's a sleeve and it has a seal. You see that black seal right here? Let's see if I can zoom into it. That black sleeve is what seals it in the back. But I also took some RTV, some clear high temp RTV, and I covered the hole that goes in the back. So see that hole right there? That's pretty much where the shaft runs through, and that black seal seals it against the shaft. So an added measure, I put some clear RTV to fill that hole, but you can see the cap on there. It sits up against that seal, so it honestly is a little overkill to put that RTV, because it probably isn't going to leak, even just with the Dorman plug in there.
So I just wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna leak, and I sealed up that hole. So this is pretty much all I'm gonna need. I'm hoping this works, because if you feel it, I mean, I think it stretches out that cap a little bit. So either way, I mean, if it fits nice and tight in there, I'm even better. But yeah, so this is pretty much the length that I've had to go to, because there's wrong information out there. I don't want to put out monkey wrench racing like that, but it is what it is. They have it on their website that it's 1 1/16, when in reality the hole, you know, it's a little, I mean, they have it that it's 1 inch, but this hole is 1 1/16 if you want to use that sleeve. Now the hole for the actual transmission, like once you pull that sleeve out, it's not 1 inch. I've also run into some things where some guys that are using this transmission for like their MR2 swaps say that the plug falls out. Freeze plugs aren't supposed to fall out. So if you're putting a 1 inch plug and like putting silicone around it to like keep it in the hole, that's not correct. So yeah, if you're running into this issue, if you're Celica GTS swapper into anything else other than the Celica GTS, and you need to cover that hole, you can put a 1 1/16 plug into the sleeve and it should fix your problem. So when I get home, I'll confirm, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna work. But anyways, guys, I thought I'd just share that, and the next probably in the next couple hours I'll be home so I can put this in. Alright. Alright guys, so I'm back at the house, and well, I'm gonna show you the differences in the plugs that I've used and the ones that worked, didn't work. So Monkey Wrench Racing says that you need a 1 inch plug. This is a 1 inch plug, okay? So you go in here, right? 1 inch plug. One-inch plug. How is that even, like, no. Okay. I had one of these laying around, and this is an inch and I want to say a quarter, but no, that's not gonna work. So I tried the 1 inch and a quarter first because I felt like the 1 inch was too small. Honestly, guys, I should have just measured this from the get-go. Lesson learned, okay? This plug, I don't know if they measured 1 inch for this plug, or, you know, what using the plug, but even then, look, even inside of this sleeve that's in there is too big. So 1 1/16, that's what fits in there. So the sleeve should go in here, and you see how it's nice and tight. I'm gonna pound that in. Should be good to go. It's not gonna go in all the way, guys, because it stops right there. So this sleeve isn't supposed to be pushed in all the way. So when you're banging it in, if it's not flush, no worries, it's not supposed to be. So here we go. I'm gonna do this and then take a video when I'm done. Oh, to do this, guys, I'm just using a 24 mil. As the bug comes into frame, look at it. So yeah, this is a 24 mil, I believe. Yeah, 24 mil. I'm using a deep 24 mil socket to do this, and should work in a nice size hammer. All right, guys, let's do this. All right, guys, so that is about as far as it's gonna go in, but as you see, it's nice and capped off.
Like I said, the distance between here and here and the actual sleeve, it's, you know, it's not gonna go in all the way. It wasn't in all the way when I took it out. If you look at the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, guys, here we go, back into the car. I'm hoping that everything that I did is gonna work out, and if it doesn't, then I'm screwed. But here we go. Alright guys, so when you're going back in with the trans, there's a couple things. When you're putting on the throttle bearing, you want to grease what the throttle bearing rides on, and you also want to grease the pivot, the pivot joint that the shift fork rides on. It'll help prevent the squeaking noise. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, these cars sometimes squeak when you hit the clutch. It's sometimes because that's just, you know, metal on metal, and for some reason these throttle bearings that they make for these cars, they just suck. So just grease those points up before you put this on, and kind of follow the way you put it on. That way you don't confuse yourself. Alright guys, I mean, follow the way you took it off, so when you put it on, you know what you're doing. Just a quick reference, this is a throttle bearing. These arms are going to go slide in between here like this, and then this bearing is going to ride in here facing this way. So the clutch is going to contact, or the pressure plate is going to contact this here, this ring. See how this spins? But anyways, once I have it on here, I'll show you a little more in detail. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like once it's on. See, it moves back and forth. Make sure you push on this balled end right here, because there's like a spring that's back here that the ball has to pass, so it's nice and secure. So yeah, as you can see, that's the function of throttle bearing. Yeah, so that's what it's gonna look like once it's on. I'm gonna get this bad boy back up. If you've never done any of these, a transmission jack does not help with this, because unless you have the type that's got like the 4 like prong that holds it up like this, and you can kind of like move it however you want. If you have one of these, the best way to get this thing up in there is strong arming it and pushing it up there. If you're not strong enough to do that, get a friend to help. The reason being is because this transmission sits cocked in the car. So like you see it here, it actually is going to sit like this in the car. So when you're putting it up, you don't put it straight in. You put it to an angle like this, where this part right here is facing the back of the car like this. So getting it up there, it's a bit of a pain in the butt, but the best way I've learned to do this, guys, is just to honestly put it on my chest and bench pressing it into its place. Don't know what to tell you. That's how I've done it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that again. So let's go. Just kind of wanted to show you what this looks like once it's set up, guys. I know I skipped a lot in this video. I didn't show you how to put that pressure plate on, but quick tip. Do you see, let's see what, okay, that little tab right there next to the green right there? Okay, well, there are several of those tabs around the pressure plate. If you look up here, where this bolt is at, right there, towards the top, there is a tab right next to it. Let's see if I can get close up. See the tab? Bolt tab, bolt tab. See it? Right here, where my finger is pointing. Okay, so the best way to put this, to put the flywheel on, is to put one of those bolts on. Okay, one of the pressure plate bolts, and those tabs are from the flywheel. So you pretty much put a screwdriver in between the bolt and the tab to hold the flywheel once you're torquing those down. I believe they're 70 foot-pounds, the flywheel bolts. Don't quote me on that, search it, but I'm almost positive it's 70 foot-pounds for the flywheel bolts. For the pressure plate bolts, I don't remember. I think it's something like 25 foot-pounds or something very light, nothing too crazy. But yeah, but it's fairly easy to put that on if you do it that way, so you can hold the flywheel up, you know, from moving. The pressure plate is, you know, just as easy. It's probably easier to put on. But yeah, guys, I mean, this is just a little quick tip. If you need to hold the flywheel, that's a good way to do it. Just get one of the bolts from the pressure plate and put a screwdriver between that tab and the bolt, and it will hold the flywheel from moving when you're tightening those bolts down. Because 70 foot-pounds is a bit of, you know, it's not a lot, but it's a lot enough to move the flywheel when you're putting that on. So, little quick tip. Hope that helped out. But guys, I'm gonna put this all back together. I think I'm gonna call it a wrap on this video. There's videos out there of people like dropping their transmissions. I don't have the time to be taking video. I just wanted to show you, you know, once the trans is put back together, I want to show you guys that it does work. The Celica GTS trans does work on this. And yeah, man, that was about it. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you guys appreciate the time that I took to show you guys how to put the Celica GTS and make, like, retrofit it to the Corolla XRS. Give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace out. Hey guys, before I finish the video, I know I said I was going to end the video, but this is a vehicle speed sensor. I don't know why the Corolla doesn't have it. It probably uses another sensor for vehicle speed. Probably uses the same ABS system like that it uses for the tire monitor pressure system. Probably runs it off of that. So, but on the Celica, I don't think they have a tire pressure monitor system, so it runs vehicle speed off of that sensor there. So, anyways, peace out.